Is the one, the only, the lovely Mark.
How's it going, everybody?
All right, so this month we are switching it up just a little bit since me and Mark have been doing this for, I think, 6 months or so now?
Yeah, it has been a while, hasn't it? It seems longer than that.
It seems like forever.
Man.
We started this back in October of last year. We have been focusing on movies ever since then. And with this one, we're doing a little bit different. We're breaking away a little bit, and we are doing this episode devoted to an actual individual rather than a movie or a movie series as a whole. This episode, we are going to be talking about the great Tom Savini.
Yes, we are. Tom Savini. He is the man who put all the gore and the blood and the guts and the grime and the decapitated heads and all of that good stuff that filled our childhood. And he still goes on to this day.
This guy he was born in November of 1946. So he's 60. He's going to be 69 this year.
Wow.
I know.
Man. To me, Tom Savini, he's pretty much the guy that was behind some of the most memorable things from my childhood, at least in terms of the gore department. I mean, he's, for crying out loud, he is the creator of the look of the original child, Jason Voorhees.
Yep, the whole Mongoloid thing was completely his idea. I think, and I honestly think too, it was solely his idea.
Yeah, that was, that scene. I mean, when you see, like, in the movie, like those flashbacks of Jason drowning in the water and, splashing and all that, and you see he's like this kind of weird looking bald kid. And it always kind of creeped me out back then. And of course, at the very end of the movie, when he comes out as sort of like, I don't know, what would you say, zombie Jason, where he's like all kind of messed up looking and kind of decayed and rotting and like jumps out of the lake. I mean, I think that's kind of like Savini's like signature design there. When I think of him, that's probably like one of the first images that pops up is that Jason jumping out of the lake at the end of the first movie.
In Friday the 13th, which wasn't his first movie that he did the special effects for, if you ever watch an interview with Tom Savini where he's talking about his work over the years, one of the scenes from Friday the 13th, besides the whole creating the Jason image, the Mongoloid kid, and if you're looking for something to do, you can go out to Google Images and search for Tom Savini Jason, and there's actually a bunch of images out there of him like doing the makeup on whatever the actor was that played Jason. One moment the one scene, I should say, from Friday the 13th, the original Friday the 13th, that I think Savini is really proud of is the Pamela Voorhees decapitation scene.
Oh, yeah. That's a great scene.
And when you hear about it and you just hear how simple that scene was, I mean, basically they had a dummy head that they put on this body, and in order to have it break away real easily, they just had toothpicks around the body. And if you actually pay attention and you look really close in the movie, when the machete comes through and knocks the head off, you can actually see the toothpicks. And another piece of trivia for that scene is when the hands come up and they kind of are clutching open and closed. If you look at those hands really closely, you'll see that the knuckles are a little hairy. That's because those are Tom Savini's hands.
Really? Oh, interesting. Okay, that's funny. Yeah, that's a really well done scene. I mean, it's shot so quickly, but it certainly is effective. I think when I think too of like Tom Savini, some of his best work, I think of like the death scene of Kevin Bacon in Friday the 13th with the arrow coming through underneath the bed and out his neck. That's kind of like, I don't know, that's sort of his kind of signature thing there. I mean, because you didn't really see stuff like that. I don't think so much in horror until he started doing that with the first Friday the 13th film. And then of course they copied it in all the sequels. But where he's just laying there, and then the hand grabs his head, and then there's an arrow pushed underneath the bed, and it comes up through his neck. And that was a pretty effective scene.
Tom will go into detail about any of these different kills, and he's one of these guys too. Like we were just saying a little bit ago, he's 68 now, and when he was doing this stuff back in the late 70s, early 80s, he was in his 30s. When you see him in interviews and stuff, and some of the stuff comes up, even the original Friday the 13th. He did the special effects on Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, The Prowler, all of these different movies back then. He remembers those scenes like they were just yesterday, and he can tell you how they did everything.
Nice.
With them. I mean, and like listening to him talk about some of the stuff, if you get a chance, just go out to YouTube and search for Tom Savini interview, and there's a bunch of stuff. He did a bunch of David Letterman interviews way back in the 80s before Letterman was on the show that he's on now, back when it was still like the Late Late Show or whatever it was. And it's actually kind of funny, too, if you go back and you watch some of those old YouTube clips of Tom Savini back on the David Letterman show back in whenever it was, 82, 84 or whatever. David Letterman is a complete asshole to Tom Savini. If you watch enough of the clips, and then there's actually one of them, too, where David Letterman even says, "The last time you were here, you burnt my hand." So it's kind of funny. But he goes through like some of the effects and stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking at his list here of all the movies he's done. And, some of the ones like The Prowler, that was from 1981. So that was after Friday the 13th. That was another one where The Prowler and Maniac, those were like two of those early slasher films that, you go to these horror movie forums and whatnot on the web, and people are still talking about those movies and some of the effects. I know, like in Maniac, I've never seen the film, but I've seen a lot of the effects shots, and I know one of the most popular or most infamous shots is the scene where the guy gets his head blown off in the car, and it's, I guess, like the killer jumps up on top of the hood of the car and shoots a shotgun through the windshield, and that's one of those like absolutely effective shots. And the same with The Prowler. I haven't seen that in a long time either, but that one, I remember the very end of that film. Spoiler. So if you haven't seen the Prowler, there's a scene at the very end of the film where somebody gets his head blown off with another shotgun blast. And I remember that film. I remember that shot, to be honest with you, when I first saw that. And this was like probably like 19, 20 years ago, like rewinding it and like, whoa, that's crazy. Because it was so like unbelievably realistic how like, the guy's head exploded. So yeah, a Maniac, The Prowler, another one of those early slashers. This one I have not seen, and I haven't even really seen any parts of it, but The Burning, I know that's one that people talk about a lot. It's on my list of movies to see. Yeah, he had a lot of stuff like right after Friday the 13th, and of course before Friday the 13th he had Dawn of the Dead, which is probably one of the biggest zombie movies ever made.
One of the things when you look back over his list of movies that he was the special effects guy on. Friday the 13th, he was Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, the Creepshow series. But once you get into like past the late 80s, when the kind of whole horror movie sequel thing kind of sort of died off a little bit, you'll notice he didn't really do a lot of special effects stuff after that. And that was really because he kind of made the move from kind of along the same lines as Kane Hodder, where he was infamous for this line of work over here, whether it's a special effects technician or stunt double, and then, gets a name for himself and then moves into the role of actor.
Yeah, he's got a few movies where he was actually acting in.
Yeah, well, a few, like a lot. Actually, if you look over his list of actors, or his list of movies that he was acting in, it's actually probably twice as long, if not 3 times as long, as the movies that he actually did the special effects work in. Yeah, I know, it's funny.
Wow. Yeah, I think probably my the favorite movies that he's involved with. Well, I think Dawn of the Dead is great. That's probably one of my favorite zombie films. Friday the 13th, the final chapter. To me, that's probably the best Jason film, and him coming back and kind of ending they thought they were ending the whole Jason thing and kind of killing that creation of his. And I actually really, really like the effects he used for the Jason reveal when he takes, when the hockey mask comes off, and I think that look of Jason in that movie was probably the best in my opinion. It had that kind of look very similar to what he looked like as a boy when he jumped out of the water. Kind of like waterlogged face, kind of pruned up on one side, kind of the mongoloid thing going on, and very creepy. So it was kind of cool that he came back for that. And some of the great effects in the final chapter, all the kills were pretty much top notch, especially for in the Friday the 13th franchise, and even Jason's demise was great. The machete in the head, and then he falls on it, and it slides and basically breaks his skull right open. But I thought it was cool too that Tommy Jarvis, who is the one who kills Jason in Friday the 13th, the final chapter, was actually named after Tom Savini. And that character is, the little kid played by Corey Feldman was supposed to be he was really into making masks and special effects and stuff in that movie. So they kind of played homage to Tom Savini through that character.
One of the other movies that Tom Savini did the special effects for that came out right after Friday the 13th, the final chapter, was The Day of the Dead.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one, too. I forgot about that.
I don't know when the last time you saw that movie was, but I watched it just the other day. The first thing that popped into my mind was this movie came out in 1985, and how the hell did they get away with so much flippin' gore in 1985?
Yeah, it's funny. The first time I rented that movie, I got through 10 minutes of it and I turned it off because it just seemed too cheesy to me. It seemed like I'm not a huge zombie fan. So when I was watching, I'm like, this is stupid. I don't want to watch this. It seemed like it was I don't know, it had that 80s vibe. It looked like it was almost like made in Italy or something. I don't know. It's just a strange kind of feel to the movie. It didn't feel like a horror movie. Finally, I went back after listening to a bunch of reviews on it where people were just going nuts about that film. And I was like, I got to give it another shot. So I bought it. I actually bought the DVD and I watched it again. I'm like, this is actually pretty darn good. Well, I don't want to get into the movie so much, but yeah, definitely the gore. Yeah, you're right, man. I don't know how they got away with that, especially some of those scenes at the end. But total Tom Savini all the way, man. Absolutely, all those special effects.
I went to the video store the other day. Actually, I wanted to watch The Prowler the other day, and I couldn't find it online. There's a family video 4 blocks away, and I was like, well, I bet you that family video, I bet they have it. They didn't have it.
Oh, bummer.
So then I was like, oh, well, I'll get Day of the Dead because I haven't seen Day of the Dead forever. So I went to grab Day of the Dead. Didn't look. I moved, how they are. They have the movie box in front, and then there's 6 discs behind it.
Right.
So I just grabbed one from behind the box of Day of the Dead, took it up front, paid for it, got it home, made it all the way till the movie was in the DVD player, and it came up on the screen, and then it was Dawn of the Dead.
Oh, no.
I'm like, son of a bitch, that's the wrong movie. And then it was the remake, but it was still okay. Because I was like, I was supposed to be watching a Tom Savini movie. And then like halfway through the movie, Tom Savini pops on the screen for a second and goes away. I'm like, oh.
So did you get to watch Day of the Dead?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. I should have probably looked for that.
Yeah, I was wondering why you didn't check there because I have it on my it's on my wife's. I finally, by the way, got my own identity on Netflix, but beforehand, she had hers, and I put Day of the Dead as one of the saved movies or whatever. on there. But even though I saved that and a few other horror movies, there's still no horror movie section.
Oh, yeah. I have a whole horror section on mine.
Now I have one on my new profile that I just created.
And I got to tell people, I am not getting paid by Netflix to do this at all. We pay a little bit more for Netflix every month. 4 or 6 users to be on at the same time, something like that.
Holy crap.
So we pay I think we pay like $12 a month. Netflix, if you guys are looking for horror movies, I mean, Netflix is got it going on. They have really good horror movies, really shitty horror movies, and then they have all these these documentaries, which I started to watch one last night, but it's about the real life events that has inspired horror movies. I just watched the first section of it, or the first segment of it, and they were talking about the Texarkana.
Oh, I just
murder.
watched that.
Yeah, I know.
I watched that one. Yeah, and that the last one's the clowns.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, it's all they have the Gacy clown, and I guess there was some weird incident that happened where people were dressing up like clowns and like kidnapping kids and like popping up in the street, and people would see a clown, and I'm like thinking, isn't that kind of like a dead giveaway if you see like a clown coming up to you in a van that you'd avoid that. So,
in a van.
But yeah, it's very crazy. Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I watched that. I didn't get to see the whole thing, but I saw them.
For the shit that they went through a couple of years ago, and we were one of the ones where we dropped Netflix for like a year after the whole thing went down, where they changed their pricing schedule and dropped DVDs and all this other stuff. And I will say that I have Netflix and I have Amazon Prime, and it does piss me off to a certain extent every once in a while, where I will, like the other day when I want to see The Prowler, and I search on Netflix, it's not on Netflix, and I search on Amazon Prime, and it's not on Amazon, and I go, why am I paying for this shit if I can't watch what I want to watch right now?
That's ridiculous. You have both of those, and it wasn't on either one?
Right.
Wow. Yeah, it's not, I mean, it's kind of obscure, but that's why you're paying for it, for obscurity. So, very interesting, yeah. I would think you'd at least find it on one of them. I mean, they got enough weird stuff on Netflix if you dig around deep enough. Interesting.
They have so much weird stuff and so much good stuff.
Well, I'm so proud of you that you made it to the actual physical brick and mortar video store. That is I have not been able to let those go. There's only one left in our town.
Is it a family video?
It's a family video.
Yeah, I think those guys. Ours, I don't know about yours, but ours is building a pizza place next door.
Ours has a Pizza Hut next door.
Oh, see, ours is building a Marco's, I think is what it's called, and it's actually owned by the same people that own Family Video.
Yeah, I'm starting to see a trend because the one in the town over has a pizza place next to it too. So I think maybe they've got something going, some sort of interesting, very interesting. The movie experience and going to the video store and browsing and picking up the boxes and your kids running around, looking down the aisles. To me, that experience, there's nothing like it. Even, I know that it's so easy just to go online and pop a movie on for $2.99 or whatever, but I can't give it up yet.
And I was surprised when we went the other day how many people were actually there. There had to have been 15, 20 people in the store. I mean, it was a Friday night, but I'm like, God damn.
A lot of people that go to those. What they need to do, there used to be a video store that we used to go to a long time ago before like video stores pretty much disappeared, and they always popped their own popcorn in there. And I remember walking in and smelling that popcorn. It was like the best thing ever. And I think Family Video, since they're the only video store left, basically need to start doing that again. Or they need to start doing that, to have a popcorn machine in there. I mean, they got candy and ice cream. I mean, why can't they put a popcorn popper in there? But yeah, you were saying 1985 with Day of the Dead, and then 1986 was another big one, was Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. So Tom Savini, I mean, that was That was a pretty. I mean, it's a weird movie. Everybody was anticipating a sequel to the original. So when they finally created that, and then it was just kind of a balls to the wall gore fest. Who else would be? Who would be best to do that but Savini?
The one thing with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, what's his face from the movie where he kept scratching the plate in his head with the clothes hanger? You know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
And then he would like every once in a while like lick it and like, god damn it, knock it off.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, he did a great job with that. He did a pretty I would say like that Leatherface he created, the mask he made for him, although not like as terrifying in my opinion as the original. I thought it was pretty well done, and it's very memorable. Like I know that like anytime I see that, I know it's Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, like you're flipping through a magazine or whatever. But I remember, when like back in the 80s, mid to late 80s, when all of Savini's work was just like right up on the front page of the cover of every Fangoria magazine. But yeah, I remember that Leatherface was always on there, that Part 2 Leatherface, and the Friday the 13th final chapter stuff, and all the other, and the Creep Show stuff. Yeah, he did Creep Show and Creep Show 2, two other great films. Yeah, Creep Show 2 was just a year after Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
And he did Tales from the Dark Side, which a lot of people consider to be the actual Creep Show 3.
That came out like what, 87, and that was like, or no, I'm sorry, 88. Yeah, that was a big film. And then I remember the first one with the mummy, and then it wasn't there like he had like the clothes hanger and he'd stick it through the like the mummy's nose and pull out his brain. Yeah, creepy stuff. Yeah, man, Tom Savini, he was the guy, man. He was the guy that put all the gore in our childhood, that's for sure.
Let's spend a few minutes here talking about actually Tom Savini, since we dedicated an entire episode to the man. We said it a couple of times already. He actually is elderly at this point.
He is, which is really weird.
I know. Well, you got to remember too, though. Me and you we're approaching that middle age mark.
We are, aren't we?
A lot of these guys that we loved when we were 10, 12 years old, 15 years old, they were already 30, 40 years old at that time.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Absolutely crazy.
Tom Savini, one of the most interesting things about Tom Savini, again, this is not a hidden fact of him at all. He always talks about he went and saw The Man of 1,000 Faces. That was a Lon Chaney movie when he was a kid. For some reason, he went and saw that movie, and it like turned him on to, I could do that. And then, like you were saying earlier, too, the whole Tommy Jarvis character, I think, was kind of molded around that, to where he would make masks and all this other stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He would make these applications, these mask applications and stuff when he was a kid and scare his friends with them and stuff.
Yep.
And then he was also a combat photographer in the Vietnam War. One of the things that Tom Savini always says in interviews and things like that, when he was in the war and he was shooting the horrific scenes on the battlefield, he would just imagine them in his head as, oh, well, it's just special effects. It's no big deal. He did Dawn of the Dead. He did Friday the 13th. He did Maniac. He did The Prowler, The Creep Show, Friday the 13th Final Chapter. Just all these movies that made him really a legend. I mean, if you talk to anybody that is a horror fan and you say Tom Savini, they're going to know him and they're going to know his work.
You're no horror fan if you don't know who Tom Savini is. He's the guy who created and killed Jason. And who else can you say did that? Like, there's nothing worse to me than watching a movie and seeing CG gore, splashing around, because then it all of a sudden this movie is turning into a video game. I think using the food coloring or whatever they used back in the day, that was so much more realistic than all the crap they're doing now with the computers.
Tom Savini actually has a movie coming out in a couple of years. It's not slated to come out till 2017, I believe. But the Nightmare City remake, he is doing the special effects for that movie.
Ah, okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
So he's going old school then.
Oh, yeah, it would totally be old school.
Excellent.
And
we need more of that.
I would agree with you completely, too. When you watch some of these new horror movies, somebody, like, somebody gets shot, and there's just, like, this giant, like, 10-gallon splatter, like, bleh.
Oh, yeah. And American Werewolf in London, and all those effects of, like, the changing and the transforming back in the 80s. I think of, like, The Howling and American Werewolf in London and how cool that was. And you compare that to the effects they have now. You look at, like, the Wolfman remake with Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins and the Underworld series, and, like, it's all computer generated transformations, and it just doesn't hold up. It's not as interesting.
I did see a movie on Friday, a werewolf movie that had old school transformations. Wolf
I know
Cop.
what you're talking about. Wolf Cop, yeah.
We are going to talk about Wolf Cop on an upcoming episode because it is fantastic.
Oh, we got to get it.
But
yeah, I got to check that out.
You guys out there, go watch it on Netflix or however you want to watch it. And I will go ahead and give, it's not really a spoiler alert. I was watching this movie with my oldest daughter, who is 14. And there is a scene where a guy is standing at a urinal, taking a leak, and they show his wiener. And she was like, "Oh my God." And then he, like, starts pissing blood. And then it, like, splits apart. And it turns into a werewolf wiener. First werewolf wiener transformation ever. It was great. Yeah, and the movie's only like an hour long. I mean, it's super short. The transformations, there's like 2 or 3 of them. It's old school, brutal. And there's like one where, like, again, a little bit of a spoiler alert, but like his skin splits completely on the back of him. And you're just like, oh, yeah.
Nice.
Watching it. Like, it's a funny movie. It's one of those movies too, like, where it gets over and you're like, oh, where's the sequel? I want to watch the sequel right now.
Very cool. Well, yeah, we'll have to definitely put that on the list then. So Wolf Cop, be on the alert. That'll be up in the probably sooner than later.
The other really cool thing that Tom Savini does, which I didn't sign up for because I'm almost 40 and it probably wouldn't really pan out for me. But if you are a youngster listening to this show and you've seen some of Tom Savini's work, or you've seen other people's work and you're like, oh, that's really cool, I wonder if I could do that. Tom Savini actually has a special effects school that he runs.
Ooh, cool.
So if you just go to, I think it's like Savini.com, follow the links from there and get to it. But I was watching some videos on it.
Well, let me give away one of my, back when I was an aspiring I desired to be a special effects guy. I remember when I was back when you and I were hanging out. I don't know if you remember, but I used to do like little weird things with, I tried to do my own horror effects every once in a while. But I remember one, and here I'm going to give away one of my little secrets for any of you all who want to, create something for your haunted house or whatever. But I was trying to come up with a gore effect to look like a limb had been ripped off. So what I found was very effective. And again, this isn't patent, but you can go ahead and steal it from me. You take a lunch bag, a paper bag, and you shred the open end of it. And then you stick it under the sleeve, and then you just put a whole bunch of like fake blood and, or red food coloring, which is always the best. And it looks like a severed limb. It's actually it looks like torn flesh. Back in the werewolf movie phase, when I was really into werewolf movies, and you'd see all the werewolf gore, that I always thought looked very realistic. If you try that, kids, and let us know how it works for you.
All right, folks. We tried to get Tom Savini on this episode, but he never responded to any emails.
What? Are you serious?
I was like, Tom, come on, you got to be on the show, man. And he was like,
He owes us.
He was like, S&M radio. I'm not too sure about that. If it was like M&S radio, maybe, but S&M radio, that's a little kind of creepy for me.
Oh man, we'll get him next time.
I was like, it's not perverted. All right, folks. So stay tuned. Next episode, we're going to be talking about the Australian horror movie, The Babadook.
Oh, I didn't know it was Australian. Interesting.
Oh, so yeah, we're going back to our our foreign roots.
Yeah, we need to do that more often. I think that was kind of what we were known for a while there.
It's not Canadian, but it is Australian.
Close enough.
They're. I think Canada is right north of Australia.
Yeah, just a little north and off to the side.
So we're gonna talk about the Babadook the next episode, and stay tuned in the future. This is our first episode that we devoted to a person rather than a movie, but we'll do them into the future mainly for those folks like Tom Savini who are heavily influential in the horror genre.
Oh yeah, I know a few that I want to do in the future.
So stay tuned for those for sure. We'll talk about
John Carpenter.
I don't know.
Did I say John Carpenter?
John Carpenter, I guess.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea.
I'm sure we'll talk about John Carpenter. We'll probably talk about Wes Craven, I guess.
Oh yeah, we got to. Wow, man, absolutely.
We'll do Kane Hodder.
Okay.
Kane Hodder's, like I said before, with kind of the same lines of Tom Savini. He was one of these guys that was behind the scenes and then catapulted to the front of the scenes, and he's just one of those guys that everybody knows. And then we'll do some other people, like...
I think we should do a trilogy series of Danielle Harris.
All right, we'll do Danny Harris. That's fine.
I think we could do at least 3 episodes just on her.
Oh my God, twist my arm. Oh, son of a bitch.
So we'll do that. And yeah, man, there's a lot out there. So we're just beginning. May have been 6 months, but we got a lot more coming.
We have brand new koozies available. Be sure to send us an email, post on Facebook, send us a voicemail. The only condition is you get 2, so 1 for yourself and 1 that you have to share with a friend.
Or your imaginary friend.
Well, if you give it to your imaginary friend, then your imaginary friend needs to give it to a real person.
Okay, well, that's fair, I guess. Come on, I'm trying to link us to the Babadook. So that's like imaginary friend, Babadook. Right?
Be sure to tune in a couple weeks where we talk about the Babadook.
Excellent.